right, it's wonderful to have you this morning. Join us on yet another interesting episode of Youth Forum, that program that actually talks about everything about youth, young people, without leaving aside the older ones. Of course, they get even some things to learn from the program. Well, this morning we've got a whole lot in package for you. And are you surprised that I'm actually alone in the studio this morning? Well, Helen and Adugo, they are attending to some things. They will join us maybe in the next episode. Okay, so just relax. I will give you all you really need to have in this thing. Okay, before we continue, let's take this short motivational video coming from Jay Shetty, and that's talking about building your life and not resume.
A university professor started off his class by picking out of his back pocket a £20 note. And in this lecture hall of about 200 people, he asked, how many of you would like this note? Naturally, all 200 hands went up. He said, interesting. He then said, before I let you have it, let me ask you this question. He took the note and folded it in half twice. And then he said, how many of you want this note? Still, 200 hands went up. Now he said, let me try something else. He took the note and he crumpled it. He said, how many of you want this note now? Still, 200 hands went up. Finally, he chucked the note on the floor. He screwed it with his shoe and crumpled it even more, picked it back up, now with dirt, and said, how many of you want this note? All 200 hands were still up. He said, today you've learnt an important lesson. No matter how much I crumpled that note, how much I scrunched it up, how many times it was trodden on, you still wanted it because it was still worth £20. In the same way that that £20 note held its value, so do you. No matter how many times life will tread on you, life will crumple you, life will scrunch you, and life will squeeze you, you will always keep your value, that spark within us all of bliss, knowledge, and eternity that exists. That spark will never be taken away. Our value is not created by the price of our clothes or our bank balance or the job title that we have. See, we should be building life and not just building our CVs. In the middle of 2009, he was the software engineer that no one wanted to hire. He had 12 years of experience at Yahoo, but he was rejected by Facebook and then rejected by Twitter. He'd been to a great university. He had a great CV. But he decided to team up with one of his alumni members at Yahoo and started to create an app and focus on the startup space. In 5 years' time, he sold that app for $19 billion to Facebook. Believe it or not, that was Brian Acton, the co-founder of WhatsApp. When he was rejected from Facebook, he said it was a great opportunity to connect with some fantastic people. I look forward to life's next adventure. When he was rejected by Twitter, he responded by saying, worked out, it was quite a long commute. It's so interesting to see that someone rejected from two of the top internet companies actually responded with humor and actually responded with positivity. This lady was diagnosed with clinical depression. Her marriage had failed and she was jobless with a dependent child. She was on a 4-hour delayed train journey from Manchester to London when she came up with this idea, and she started to write this book about this wizard. And as she started writing, she then finished her manuscript, took it to 12 publishers and was rejected by all 12. Believe it or not, that's J.K. Rowling. This man watched his first company crumble. He was a Harvard University dropout and his first company's demo didn't even work. He went on to build Microsoft. His name's Bill Gates. Therefore, failure is just a sign that we need to widen our scope. We need to be ready and build ourselves up for the next level. Actually, what we end up achieving is far greater than what we'd envisioned for ourselves. And this divine plan, this orchestration can't be happening without this intervention that occurs, because if we had it our way, we'd just settle, we just accept what we thought was our goal, what we thought we were chasing. But actually, I've noticed that when you don't get that, later down the line, you look back and you reflect and realize that what you've gained is so much greater. Failures are only failures when we don't learn from them, because when we learn from them, they become lessons, and we actually extrapolate all of these teachings and actually get more insight into how we can improve the way we work and how we can actually drive with a different energy. the challenge we have is that we only talk about people's failures when they succeed, and that's why they become this taboo, or we feel like their failures never happened. We need to share these stories earlier. We need to bring out these stories and experiences on the journey so that people who are on the journey can actually follow in those footsteps. And that's why Steve Jobs said you can't connect the dots moving forward. You only can when you're looking backwards.
All right, thank you very much, Jay Shetty. If you've been following us on this program, you will know that Jay Shetty has been a regular motivational speaker. Well, that's wonderful. Let's go straight up to this musical video coming from David Ekene, and it's titled Greater Tomorrow.
My tomorrow must be greater than today.
His hands are not short that it cannot reach to you. His eyes are never blind, he cannot see your tears. His ears are not deaf that he cannot hear you cry. Your tomorrow must be greater than today. Your tomorrow must be greater than today.
No matter what I face, no matter what I see,
no matter what comes
no
my
matter
way,
what comes my way,
hey,
no matter how I cry,
one thing I know,
that is definitely my
my
heart.
tomorrow,
My tomorrow
ah,
must be greater than today.
say my tomorrow,
Tomorrow must be greater than today.
oh, no matter, no matter, no matter, yeah, no matter what comes my way, nothing can move me. So one thing I know, thank you Jesus, my tomorrow,
Must be greater than
say my tomorrow,
must be greater than today.
Our tomorrow must be greater than today. Your tomorrow, my tomorrow will be greater than today. That is certain. So you don't have to worry about anything, okay? Yes, and that's why we're actually talking about depression. And it's the trending thing, actually, in society. And it's just so rampant amongst the young people. What is the cause of it? Is this depression of a thing? I actually had a chat with a doctor, a psychiatrist, and it was wonderful. Let's just have a view of it. Okay, last year, 2018, Nigeria ranked 15 in the world for suicide, and the leading African country with about 7 million cases of depression. You know what? As at last year, we didn't hear so much about suicide here in Nigeria. We didn't hear so much about depression cases and all that. But at 2019, I don't know what Nigeria will become. What will be the fate of Nigeria at the end of the year 2019? But we just pray that it doesn't escalate beyond that. Rather, it actually reduces. That's our prayer. Well, we're going to be talking about depression, and I'm here with a doctor. She is Dr. Mrs. Lucy Uboma, and she is a consultant psychiatrist, University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. Doctor, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Maybe we'll start from getting to know your view about depression.
Thank you for having me in this discussion. I'm consultant psychiatrist, and I know that the rates of depression is actually increasing. The depression, actually most of the time, people don't report their depressed mood. They try to silence it or keep it themselves. Depression is a mood disorder. It has to do with emotion, and most people hide their emotion because they don't really want people to know what they feel or how they feel, because especially because of the rate of stigmatization. Most people stigmatize themselves, and the world stigmatize people that have mental health. So this have actually affected the rate of reporting of depression among people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what would you say, doctor? Some persons see depression as a normal thing, and they see it like, "Ah, I'm depressed. I don't really need a doctor, and it's not a medical issue and all that." Some person has a view of some. I don't know what you think of that.
Yeah, depressed mood is a normal feeling that people can have at any time,
Okay.
but it can become a disorder when it starts lasting for up to 2 weeks or more.
Okay.
And there are some other symptoms that will be associated with it, because usually we have what we call core symptoms of.
Okay.
We have low mood, which is the same as sad mood, feeling of sadness that is persistent, lasting for up to 2 months, up to 2 weeks, I mean. Then with lots of interest in things pleasurable activities, things we want to enjoy most, and most of the time you start getting tired most of the time. So those are the symptoms that we see in depression with other symptoms. I don't know if you
Okay.
want me to go into it.
Okay,
or
before we go into the
Yeah.
symptoms, let's know some possible causes of depression.
Possible causes of depression. We can say some things can predispose people to having depression, and some can precipitate at times. For the predisposing factors, parental depressive illness can actually affect people getting depressed, especially because of genetic factors. Depression affect parenting, so it can affect the parenting factor in children and youth. Also, other factors like separation early in life, losses, especially loss of parents very early in life, difficulties in social lives, poor relationship with people, poor academic functioning, being withdrawn from society, and all that can also dispose people to
Okay.
having depression. Then present factor can include losses,
Okay.
difficulties in life, academic difficulties, difficulties in relationship can precipitate the illness as at maybe few weeks or few months to the illness itself.
Okay. Now, I missed all the causes you listed. Doctor, I want to also know that, this depression and suicide now, it's mostly rampant amongst the young ones, and Youth Forum is actually a young people's kind of program, even though older ones get to learn from it. But I want to know those causes that are actually peculiar to young people.
The causes peculiar to young people include difficulties from childhood. Maybe someone that must have had difficult relationship with family members, with parents, chronic medical illnesses, both for the patient or for the person or for members of the family. Difficulties in academic functioning have actually been increasing, and it has actually affected youths more. Then, of course, because of other comorbidities, especially with substance use and anxiety disorders and all that, it also increased the risk of depression and suicide among the youth.
Okay, now some persons, some young people, so to say, when they committed suicide, they dropped letters and all that. And in their letters, some of them, their challenges were that of academics. Some failed examinations, class examinations, school examinations, so to say, and after which they feel like, since I failed this, I think I'm no more relevant in life. What would you say? Has there been anything that must have actually ministered to them? For me, if you ask me, I would say, okay, let's just talk about the academic system in Nigeria. Has it actually affected young ones as a way of leading them even into the depression and all that?
Yes, actually, it has been found that among youths, the academic functioning is one major stressors
Okay.
that can, and it is actually an enduring stressor that can make youths actually come into depression. And it has also been found that among youths, most of the symptoms that you find in youth depression include feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, and these guilty feelings, and we believe that they cannot make it. So most of the time they have this negative feeling about themselves, about the world and the future, which now make them that they can't cope beyond what they are going through at the moment. Because of the severity, they can get withdrawn and of course start having this ideation of committing suicide. The thought of death become very rampant because they feel that nobody cares about them. And of course this is just because they actually try to keep problems to themselves, and people will not notice because so many symptoms of depression in the youth actually is different from the elderly. They get irritable, they get withdrawn to themselves, they cry most of the time and all that. So people would think they are maybe having malaria and typhoid, and instead of actually addressing the fact that they are going through a lot of emotional stress. The academic environment is not really friendly because most of them, because of the financial difficulties that students have, they think more of their finances. Some of them now start trading sex for academic. They now divert attention to other things that makes them happy instead of going for lectures. So this because it's an enduring stressor, it keep making them go out of their most of them miss lectures and have difficulty coping even while reading, and because they will not actually seek help from others, maybe from their friends, from their colleagues, the ones that are more intelligent, at least get this discussion when they are not even understanding what they are being taught, it makes them get withdrawn and they feel hopeless.
Okay,
and
now
helpless.
let me take you to this angle I'm actually coming from now. Is some of our school system so this actually makes students believe that without their success in examinations they become nobody. There's no hope for them. So what would you say about that? If you don't pass, if you're a law student and then you don't pass your NBA exam, then you're not you become nobody. What do you think?
That's a misconception. When people start thinking that they are a failure because they fail one exam or the other, it keeps repeating itself because it's now caused this dysfunctional thinking, way of thinking that keep making them think the same way over and over again. Failure is not really does not mean that you cannot make it later in life.
Okay.
For youths, if a youth feels like, because most of the time in secondary school most people don't actually fail. Most people maybe the first time they will now see failure is in the university and they feel that they cannot cope again. Okay. It's not actually like that, because if you fail, it means that you just need to go and read again, study more, meet up with people that are or that at least that know better, and feel like, okay, because I failed now does not mean that I should just give up at once. It's just to work harder and move on. By the time youth start thinking like that, even once a failure once will not make them fail again.
Okay.
And also at least being hopeful that things will get better.
Sure.
Addressing, meeting people, socializing can also increase their rate of having wanting to do more.
Okay, just before you go into letting us know the ways out of the, let me just ask the symptoms. You actually mentioned some, and then let's know those notable ones in
among the youths. Among the youths, most of the time, though you can still see low mood, that feeling of sadness most of the time, but it has been found that most youths actually react to depressive illness with irritability, aggression, and the rest. And of course, it affects their sleep. It can be poor sleep, or the sleep can be low. It can be more. That means hypersomnia and insomnia. Of course, early morning awakening. Most of the time, worrying thoughts, poor concentration, poor attention. Then weepy spell. The time they weep for little or no reason. For the females, they can even start having difficulty with their menstrual cycles sometimes. Wow. Then, of course, because of loss of appetite, they can also have this loss of weight among them. And for youths mostly, they now start comorbidities with substance use, conduct disorders, and anxiety symptoms. And of course, that feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, and wish to die is very common among the youth.
Okay, just before we call it a wrap, I want us to talk about the role of friends and family members. Recently, I heard of a suicide that the victim actually cried and cried and cried days before she went into that state of a suicide. She cried and cried, and nobody noticed her. If they had noticed her then, I think they would have been able to lead her out of that situation before becoming a victim. So, what would you say the role of friends and family members around a depressed person so as not to lead to suicide?
The family, friends, relations play major role in depression, because among the youth, it's found out that the psychological therapy it works better among the youth compared to adults. So the relationship with people, improving relationships is better, and it's actually good, especially at the early stage when one is having the stressors, those problems are coming up. It's better to tell people, confide in others. When you discuss with people, you at least you see people that will help you to cope. They will give you hope. And also, apart from parents, even the school authority, counselors, psychologists, the psychologists also play a major role. Friends, if you have trusting friends that you can trust, you can always confide in them, tell them what your problem is, and let them see what you are going through. It's a major thing. And also, apart from friends and relatives, people should also learn to trust the psychiatrist.
Okay.
Health is not complete without mental health. Okay. If people don't pay attention to their mental health and have relationship with their psychiatrist, at least the rate of depression and suicide will really reduce drastically.
Well, thank you so very much. I think we've actually had a spare time here with you. Well, I've been with Dr. Mrs. Lucy Uboma, and she is actually a consultant psychiatrist with the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, UPTH, and we've been talking about depression. And one of the causes of depression, or one of the symptoms, so to say, is that of hopelessness, worthlessness. All right, on this note, let's get the views of our young people out there on the streets.
Hi, my name is Choice Nsiru. And talking about depression is just like not being in the right state of mind, like being sad always, like in thoughts. Your thought is being occupied.
Depression is a state of sadness, is a state of rejection, and is you not content as a person.
You can see depression as inability to visualize a happy moment.
Depression is just all about the state of sadness, whereby individual feel insecurity. Just everything the person wants to think about is just negative. You just feel like nobody's there for you. You are just tired of the world. So, from my own understanding, I feel depression is a bad state of mind of an individual.
Friends can cause depression. Family members can also cause depression. We have people around you can also cause depression to you. Personally, you also can cause depression for yourself. How is maybe you having bad friends, you wanting things that you cannot get, or longing for things that you cannot get. Friends, you can meet friends on the road, it gets you pissed off, angry, and then you become depressed, so to say.
It can be caused by peer pressure. Like most students especially can be depressed because of peer pressure, and also because of frustration. When you're being frustrated, you're being depressed, which is not a good thing. And since you're not in your right state of mind, you could kill yourself. And one like that, you need a therapist. Some need therapists to help them. And when you are being depressed, you find anything you do being useless. Like it doesn't make meaning to you because you are being depressed and everything.
If, let me take for instance, when we talk about the youth aspects, maybe if federal government can be able to, bring up job opportunities for fresh graduates, those who have already done their NYC, and I think that alone can help to curb the level of depression.
ways you can get rid of depression is you listening to music that you know are very emotional, that can calm you down, meeting friends. We have friends who make us laugh, meeting your squad that you know they can give you positive answers or positive vibes that you can actually calm yourself with. That's all I know, because we have also friends that can also add to your depression. So you really don't need such kind of friends in your life at that moment. So you look for friends who can make you happy, feel the moment, feel alive. Because when you are depressed, you feel dead.
I'm sure you're enjoying this whole program today. We've moved from the discussion to the opinions of the youth out there. They have said so much. And the doctor, I must appreciate Dr. Lucy for that wonderful exposition about depression. One of the most important things she actually talked about is that the symptoms, and one of the symptoms is hopelessness. And I've always said something, that there is always hope when there is what's life. There is hope when there's life. Hope cannot be extinct where life is in existence. All right. Yes, let's just take the last music, and that ends the program until we come your way again. I remain John Best, and this music is actually coming from Simi. Smile for me. Smile over everything. Smile over the challenges. Smile over the situation of things today, believing that tomorrow will definitely be better than today. I leave you in the hand of Simi, this music.
Smile for me, even if you're sad. Oh. Be good to me, even if you're bad. Oh. Stay with me, even if you've got some place to be. Pray with me, even if you know believe. Smile for me, baby me please. Smile. I want to be the one where you feel die for. I want to be the one that makes you do the things you thought you'd never do. Let me be the one for you. I want to be your weakness, baby. Lie to me if the truth will break my heart too.